Hello, I'm Hugh Coakley from the Guildford Dragon News. The 16,000 Surrey University students make up a sizable proportion of the residents here, about 10% of the borough. So they are a really important part of our town and the borough. But are students listened to by the powers that be? What do students think of Guildford? And how are they being affected by COVID-19? These are some of the questions that will be put into Lizzie Rodulson, the Students' Union President for this year. Welcome, Lizzie, and thank you for talking to the Guildford Dragon News.
Thank you very much for the invite.
Lizzie, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role as President of the Student Union?
Of course. So yes, my name's Lizzie Rodulson. I'm a second year sabbatical officer, so was one of the vice presidents here at Surrey last year. I studied paediatric nursing for 3 years here at Surrey. I loved it so much I didn't want to leave, but also recognise the huge difference that a students' union can make at Surrey. My role is to be the key link between the union and the university, so is to hold them accountable but also to work alongside them to make sure our students get the best experience.
What sort of things do you hold them accountable for?
A whole host of different things, but mainly comes from student voice, from the recent topic of international student fees to hybrid learning through COVID times. It can be anything that students raise with us, we're quite happy to take forward to the university.
Are the university responsive to you?
Yes, often they are. We've got some really good relationships with key members of kind of the executive board who are very student focused and are happy to hear anything that we have to say and to do whatever they can to take it forward.
Lizzie, we've heard about COVID-19 badly affecting some universities and fresher students in particular. We hear some universities have huge numbers of COVID cases. I think Newcastle University was recorded at having more than 1,000. Have there been COVID cases at University of Surrey? I can't believe there haven't been.
Yeah, so here at Surrey, our most up-to-date figures is we have 6 on campus and about 11 off campus. So we do still have positive cases, but not quite at the scale of other universities. We have very robust procedures in place. Once a student informs us that they have tested positive, they get married up with a buddy who is a current student volunteer who helps them with their food and their medicine and things like that. They're also initially sent guidance from the university about what to do in terms of self-isolation, and every student that has received that information has been following the guidelines and self-isolating to look after their community.
So what do you put down the low number in Surrey University compared to the high number in, was it Leeds and Liverpool and Newcastle? What's happening?
I think it's the work from the university and the union. Starting with Freshers Week, we made sure we had very secure COVID events on campus. Some universities purely went online, however this was thought to encourage students to have house parties and go out into town, whereas we offered on-campus in-person events, which meant we can monitor how COVID secure that they were, which hopefully proves that it does work and is something that we're looking to carry on with for the future. But I also think it's that sense of community at Surrey. Students want to look after each other. Students want to look after their local community, which is really important.
Students want to look after the local people, and so more so than someone in Newcastle. It seems a little bit strange.
I think it's partly to do with the really good relationship that we have with the local community. For other universities, I'm not sure what their relationship is like, but know that especially the community side of the union, with our recently reintroduced community reps, really want to engage with the local community, because at the end of the day, it's where students live for 3+ years of their life, but it's also often a lifelong home for residents in Guildford, so it's really important that the respect kind of is there.
I read recently that the government are considering banning face-to-face lectures. What's happening what are the plans in Surrey?
So we currently run a hybrid learning kind of programme. So any lectures for students are online, and then they have seminars which are face-to-face. The university have provided a kind of 3-tier system in relation with what the government announced, and they are prepared to go fully online if need be, and they've made the promise that the students will have the exact same level of education online as they would in person.
Is that possible?
The university are working really closely with academics to make it possible. We've always said to students that if they don't feel as though they are getting that level of education, to come and talk to us. But we work really closely with kind of the academic leads at the university to say that even though it's online, students are still here for an education, and that is the most important thing at university. So we are very much continuing to hold them to account to make sure that students are getting the education that they deserve and that they're paying for.
But okay, I can understand lectures. How do students ask questions? I can also say, you know, how do they do the one-to-one, the face with their mentors, or it seems as if whilst you can go a lot of the way towards providing the knowledge that the students need, the education, how do you provide that probably essential one-to-one aspect?
Yeah, so all of our academics at Surrey would offer to a student a one-to-one session if they required it. So if a student specifically said they're academic, I'm really struggling with this, I can't imagine an academic here at Surrey that wouldn't take the time to talk to them. Each student has a personal tutor as well, so if they felt as though they were struggling with academics or the pastoral side to things, they can organise one-to-ones with their personal tutors as well, who can really sit down and talk them through things, and they've got the resources there that they can kind of relay to the students in terms of support.
So you as a president, the Students' Union say that Surrey University are doing a pretty good job by the sound of it.
There are always room for improvement. Obviously, the university slipped down the tables in the NSS in terms of the National Student Survey quite drastically. And since that,
explain that slightly. What is that survey?
So the National Student Survey measures student satisfaction at universities all over the country. So they'll ask students how satisfied they are with certain aspects of their university experience and their education. Unfortunately, Surrey slipped again. So I believe we're about 111th out of about 125 universities, whereas back when I started in 2016, we were 5th. So over the past couple of years, there's been a drastic drop, and that's the key thing that we're saying to the university at the moment, is that the education you're providing may be kind of up to scratch with what students need, but students aren't satisfied with it. Students are telling you in such a big way that they're not happy with their university experience, so that's the bit that they need to focus on.
Okay, so on the academic side as well, I see there was a Guardian University guide which shows that the university slipped from 21st to 26th this year. I seem to remember Surrey University being in the top 10 not that long ago. So it seems like University of Surrey, from presumably objective measurement and from students, is not doing particularly well.
Unfortunately not, and I would agree. The university a couple of years ago prided itself in being a leader among universities. If you delve down into a lot of the specific subject levels, and we are excelling. So for example, I'm a nursing student. We're still in the top 5-10 universities in the country for the nursing education that we provide. So there's a lot of individual courses that are really excelling, but it's that overall student experience that the university aren't quite getting right.
What do they need to do to get it right?
I think the primary thing we say is listening to students. There's been, from students' feedback, there's been a culture that they don't feel listened to. And it's the students that are having this experience at university, and they need to feel listened to make sure that they know that they can make change, whether that's they want to change something in the curriculum because they don't feel as though it's suited to them, or they want more water coolers around the university so that they can fill their drinks bottle up. It's that listening to students, because students are the ones that experience it day to day.
Because students don't feel they're listened to, what are students saying? Are they saying that the accommodation is not much good, or are they saying that the lessons aren't much good? Are they saying that the insufficient? insufficient investment in the curriculum? What are students saying?
So the big topic at the moment is are students getting the education that they're paying for? So obviously students are paying £9,250 a year to get their education. International students are paying double that. So international students are paying £18,500 a year. And obviously for that money in a normal year, they get face-to-face lectures, face-to-face teaching. So they're saying, am I getting this in a hybrid way? Some of them feel as though they're not. And in that case, that's when we take those individual cases forward for those courses that don't feel like they are, to try and enact change in the university to make sure that they are receiving what they're paying for.
Have you had successes?
So we've managed to make change. So initial proposals from the university was to change bits of the hybrid learning to make sure that students were getting kind of, I suppose, more condensed lectures or seminars. So what normally would be an hour lecture, maybe condensed down into a 20-minute podcast. Some students said to us that that's not what I want. They still want that full hour. They still want that hour to be filled with what it normally would have. So we took those cases forward, and some academics are extending their kind of academic time to make sure that students are getting what they want.
So your subject nursing is doing well. What's not doing well?
There's obviously a huge range of different kind of realms of the university.
Yeah.
We have our business school, which typically does really, really well. Some of our topics which may need, I suppose, some improvement student satisfaction is kind of our engineering courses, which sometimes they just need a little bit more kind of that pastoral support. We're really lucky to have one of our sabbatical officers this year is an ex-engineering student, and is really pushing the support side of things for those students who don't. Yes, yeah. So he's really pushing the side of kind of making sure that students have support whatever course and whatever kind of realm of university they enter into.
Is there a faculty that's not doing well, in your opinion? That stands out as not doing well?
Yeah, I think obviously I started in July, so there was the NSS results came out the week after. So I'd probably say I'm not so much in a place to say specific ones that aren't doing very well. I think since the NSS results came out, academics have realised they need to make a change. Academics have realised that this student satisfaction isn't good enough. And I do genuinely think all of our faculties have really got on board with what we call the 85 plan. So it's a plan to increase student satisfaction at university. So, yeah.
Well, hopefully you'll keep the Guildford Dragon informed. We're obviously very interested in what you're doing. So, as I said in the introduction, the university and the students are a really important part of our town. How would you characterise the relationship between the town and the university? Is it friendly? Is it distant? Is it constructive? Is it suspicious? How would you characterise the university relationship with the town?
I think in the past there's been a bit of a separation. I think in the past there's been the thought of it's the university and it's the town. But this year and over the past couple of years, I think the university and the union have really tried to merge those two together.
How?
So we've incorporated different schemes. So a lot of our clubs and societies love to get involved in the local community. They run sessions at King's College. So, for example, when I was part of my society, we went and ran sessions for King's College students just to give them that little bit of a different experience of kind of what you can do at university. One of our clubs, I know, does tea dances when it's not a COVID time in the town. Things like our community zone do litter picks and volunteering in the community. So I do think there's a shift in the right direction. I know there still are some maybe tensions that we need to work on and tensions that need to be resolved. But I know that our community zone within the union are really working on those. They have annual meetings with different areas of Guildford. And we've got the introduction of our community reps who will hopefully kind of bring that bond together.
one of the tensions I've heard about is student accommodation. I mean, there is an argument that the university is not building sufficient houses on its own land. Does the student union have a view on this? And what's your view of student accommodation in Guildford in general?
So something that the union have been lobbying for over the recent years is a reduction in rent on campus accommodation. There were students coming in that physically couldn't afford to live on campus. It's been a topic for the past couple of years. So it's something that we've really been working on. And a new member of staff who's just been brought into the university has been very receptive to those kind of pushings and to those changes. There's been a lot of new accommodation at the Manor Park area of Guildford, so that now houses more students than Stag Hill campus does.
Is university accommodation more expensive than accommodation in town?
When you look at areas like Scape, I know some of our high level accommodation fits into the same scope as Scape does, and we offer the cheaper accommodation. But in terms of kind of the houses that students go out to live to in Guildford, in the actual Guildford community, it can be slightly more expensive depending on the band that the student would choose at university. But I think from our students, they tend to enjoy living in the town. I know there's some things that crop up now and then that we work with students on. We run kind of how to live in the community and things like that.
Okay. So a final question, Lizzie. From a student's point of view, what's the best part of Guildford and what's the worst part of Guildford?
I mean, I've lived here for, this will be my 5th year now. So it's really become a home away from home. Whenever you ask a student what their favourite place in Guildford is, tends to be the castle. Students love to go up there and have a wander around. In the summer, you'll see a lot of them up there having picnics and things like that. In terms of the worst place in Guildford, it's not a thing I tend to hear students talk about. A lot of the time, you ask students, "Oh, what do you think of Guildford?" and it's all positive. They love the high street. They love the castle, the amenities that it has with, for example, the ice skating rink and the bowling alley just outside of Guildford. I genuinely think that students really do feel at home in Guildford.
And you have a wonderful campus.
Yes, we've got a wonderful and beautiful campus, which is always lovely as well.
Lizzie, thank you very much for talking to the Guildford Dragon News. I hope you'll keep us posted as to your efforts and successes and indeed failures on the university. We'd be really interested to find out. Okay, Lizzie, thank you very much.
Amazing, thank you.